Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a zombie horror film, World War Z. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a family in the suburbs. The father is named Jerry, and he is a former UN investigator. Together with his wife and their two daughters, they are all eating breakfast and watching the news together. The news states that martial law is in the works for the country, as a mysterious virus continues to run rampant. Later in the day, the family is stuck in traffic. They notice the people panicking outside in the streets. Jerry leaves the car and asks another civilian if he knows what's happening, but they don't either. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the city and people start fleeing. They drive through the chaotic streets and get into a car crash. Zombies start attacking while the police try to get everything under control. Jerry spots an RV and motions for his family to get inside. The people who are bitten are rapidly turning into zombies within seconds. A zombie gets in through the window, but Jerry manages to fight him off. They continue to drive through the crazed streets and out of the city. The eldest daughter starts having an asthma attack, and they pull over at the side of the road. Jerry's phone rings, and he answers. The Secretary General, an old friend, tells him to hold out for another hour, and he will send the coordinates to an extraction point where the family can be rescued. They stop at a supermarket where they see many people looting the store. Jerry grabs a rifle from the RV and tells the family to stay close. He tries to grab medicine for his daughter, but they encounter a stranger with a gun. He looks to the floor, where he sees a dead body. The stranger asks him what medicine he needs, and he kindly gives them the medicine from the cabinet. Suddenly, the youngest daughter screams at Jerry. It turns out, several looters are trying to steal from his wife. He gets into a gunfight with the men, he manages to kill one of them, and the other runs off. They return outside, and the RV is nowhere to be found. With no other vehicle they can use, the family takes refuge in a nearby apartment building. He tells the Secretary General to send an extraction team to the roof of the building. A Latino family living in one of the units offers a place for them to stay the night. Jerry wakes up a few hours later and searches the apartment for his younger daughter. He finds her in the bathroom sleeping. It turns out the young boy from the Latino family stayed with her until she stopped crying. The boy translates for his father, as Jerry explains that they should continue moving if they want to survive, and they should come with them, but the Latinos refuse. Jerry duct tapes a knife into the end of his rifle, and duct tapes his forearms as well for protection. They leave the room and head up the staircase. They encounter many zombies, but they manage to fight them off. Jerry tells the rest of his family to get to the rooftop, while he holds off the zombies. One of the zombies almost gets him, but the boy from earlier saves him by shooting the zombie in the head. Jerry runs straight to the ledge, ready to jump if he turns into a zombie because of the blood that entered his mouth earlier. But he doesn't turn eventually. The helicopter arrives, and the family along with the boy from earlier get inside. Unfortunately, the boy's parents had been infected, so he's the only one left alive in his family now. The helicopter arrives at a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier in the middle of the Atlantic. The ship is filled with other refugees fleeing from the pandemic. They are warmly greeted by the Secretary General, and the family settles down in the bunk beds provided to them. Because of Jerry's former work experience and expertise, he's tasked to locate the possible origin of the virus, in hopes of making a vaccine. Along for the ride is an esteemed virologist. They are both going to be sent to South Korea, where the virus was first reported. Jerry is reluctant to leave his family behind and endanger himself, but the man in charge threatens to remove his family from the safety of the vessel if he doesn't comply. Jerry convinces his wife that he has to do this task, or else they will be kicked out of the carrier. He gives her a radio and promises to come back. He says goodbye to his family and the boy, and then leaves for the mission. While on the plane, he talks to the virologist and asks for his cooperation during the mission. He tells him to trust the military personnel with them. The plane lands at the base. When they exit on the tarmac, they notice the zombies near the runway. Zombies start attacking the group, which scares the virologist back into the plane. He slips up the ramp and accidentally kills himself with his own gun. The noise from the gunshot attracts more zombies, but the soldiers from the base manage to lead the group into a safe place. The captain of the remaining soldiers in the base asks Jerry about his mission. He tells them that they came to verify if the virus originated from here, based on an email sent to them 11 days ago. The captain leads them into a room full of scorched bodies. He explains that a soldier that went rampage was tied up by villagers and thrown into a barn because he started attacking everyone. The base doctor came to examine the body, but the doctor got bit and started infecting the rest of the soldiers. Jerry and the group enter the jail cells of the base, where several prisoners are being kept. One of them introduces himself to the group as a former CIA agent who got caught selling guns to North Korea. He reveals that North Korea is surviving the outbreak because they pulled the teeth off all the population within 24 hours. He also reveals that Israel knew about the virus and was able to build a safe zone even before the outbreak even started. He tells Jerry to head to Jerusalem and find a high-ranking official there. They plan to use pedal bikes to fuel the plane to avoid noise that attracts zombies. Suddenly, Jerry's phone rings, which catches the attention of the zombies. The captain drives the fuel truck and clears out some of the infected. Jerry gets tackled by a zombie, but the captain manages to save him. However, the captain gets bitten in the process. To prevent his transformation, the captain chooses to shoot himself instead. One of the military personnel also sacrifices himself to detach the fuel line, ensuring that they could get the plane moving. The signal comes back, and Jerry tells his wife that he will be fine, and the mission is now taking him to Israel. The line dies as an explosion happens on the ground, which rocks the plane. They land in Jerusalem. Jerry tells the pilot to wait for him at the airport. Jerry finds the official, and he asks him how Israel knew about the virus before it even happened. The official explains that they intercepted a message from an Indian general that stated they were fighting the hordes of the undead in their own country. As a precautionary measure, Israel built walls immediately to create a safe zone. The official also reveals that he researched the virus on his own and was able to convince the others that the infection was real. While Israel may now have built a wall, they are letting in a select number of refugees. He states that every person they let in through the safe zone is one less zombie they have to fight. The official shows Jerry around the safe zone, which is guarded by a tall wall to keep the zombies. Beyond the wall are the remains of the outskirts of Jerusalem. Inside the wall is the city where the refugees are staying. However, some new refugees start raucously celebrating, and the noise attracts the attention of the zombies outside of the walls. Operating collectively, the zombies start piling up on each other, so they can scale the wall and cross over to the other side. Upon seeing zombies breaking inside the city, the refugees start to panic. The military tries to hold off the zombies, but is quickly overrun by the sheer numbers of the rabid undead. The official assigns a female soldier named Sijan to escort Jerry back to his plane. They navigate the streets of Jerusalem, where Jerry finds an old man being ignored by the zombies. They try to find a place where a helicopter can pick them up. They make their way through houses when Jerry sees a thin boy in the distance, who's also being ignored by the zombie horde. Jerry finds it curious why the zombies would just ignore the two humans like that. They are almost overrun, but Sagan throws grenades that clear out the zombies following them. Sagan is bitten, but Jerry quickly amputates her hand to prevent the infection from spreading throughout the rest of her body. To make sure she doesn't turn into a zombie, Jerry counts up to 12 seconds, since that's the time limit for the infection to take hold in the bloodstream. They run toward a place where they could be picked up by a helicopter, but the zombies cause the helicopter to crash. Jerry's pilot panics and flees Israel, leaving Jerry stranded when they reach the airport. They force an airliner to stop so that Jerry and Sijan can board. Jerry looks outside the window, only to see Jerusalem overrun and the military powerless to stop the zombies. They are now resorting to bombing the city as a desperate measure to contain the infection. Jerry grabs a first aid kit and treats Sijan's wounds. Jerry contacts the Secretary General and asks him about the location of the nearest medical research facility. He hands the radio to the pilots, who then give him the coordinates to the nearest facility and tells him that they can land there. However, a zombie turns out to be hiding in the cargo hold and attacks the stewardess, causing many people to turn. Jerry throws a grenade at the last minute and ducks. The plane crashes into the forest, with Jerry and Sigan being the only ones to survive the crash. Jerry is impaled by a piece of metal. Sigan finds him and helps. They make it to the facility, but Jerry passes out at the gates. The military could not find the plane and assumed that Jerry was missing in action. His family is relocated from the carrier because they are labeled as not essential anymore. Jerry wakes up a few days later. He tries to convince the staff at the facility that he is here on an important mission. They contact the Secretary General to confirm his identity, and the Secretary General also reveals that Jerry's wife and daughters were taken back to the mainland. Jerry tells the staff that he needs a deadly pathogen to confirm his theory that the zombies ignore people who are already infected with a disease that makes them weak or terminally ill. He came to this conclusion after he saw the zombie horde in Israel, ignoring the old man and the sick boy. Instead of developing a cure, Jerry suggests they develop a camouflage instead. If they inject themselves with pathogens, the zombies will no longer deem them as viable hosts for the virus, and will consequently leave them alone. This is a great idea, but the problem is that the only samples of a lethal pathogen in that facility are currently located in a wing that's infested with zombies. Jerry plans to head into the wing with Sigan and another researcher. They quietly and carefully navigate the facility not to attract the attention of the zombies. The researcher manages to cross the sky bridge in time, and Jerry makes it into the room with the pathogens. He enters the passcode and steps inside the room where the pathogens are stored. He grabs them and is about to leave when Jerry sees a zombie behind the door. He's now forced to test his theory by injecting himself with one of the pathogens he had gotten. Sure enough, the zombie doesn't pay any attention to him after he injects himself. Jerry returns to the others without being attacked, confirming that his theory indeed works. The doctors hand him the cure for the lethal pathogen. The movie ends with Jerry returning to see his family in a safe zone they were relocated in. Using Jerry's theory, researchers have combined their efforts and created a new camouflage vaccine for the troops and the civilian population. This vaccine tricks the zombies into thinking the humans are sick, and thus not attacking them. However, the end of the war is still far away. But with this new advantage, humanity begins to fight back against the virus.